It's Monday, May 11th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Voters in New Brunswick cast ballots to hire the next crop of local politicians. In a city renowned for its patio culture, why do Halifax places pay so much?
It's going to be a soggy start for parts of the Maritimes Tuesday, but the rain will be clearing through the day.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Nice to have you with us on this Monday evening. New Brunswickers still have a couple of hours to get to the polls before they close at 8 o'clock. Voters are being asked to choose who will run 77 municipal councils throughout the province. A couple of key races are wide open. One is for the mayor's chair in Fredericton. The other is where we find our Derek Haggett. Derek.
Todd, perhaps the most compelling race in all of southeast New Brunswick is for mayor here in Moncton. 2 current councillors and 1 former city mayor are running for the spot left vacant when former mayor Don Arnold was appointed to the Canadian Senate. 4 candidates in total are vying to become Moncton's next mayor. Councillors Sean Crossman and Charles Legier, as well as Jeffrey McCluskey and Brian Murphy, who had a 6-year tenure as the mayor of Moncton from 1998 to 2004. Longtime councillor Paulette Theriault has filled in as deputy mayor since Arnold left a little over a year ago. Elections MB says as of mid-afternoon, over 60,000 people have voted today. Over 90,000 voted in advance polls. That's roughly a 28% turnout.
If you look at both 2016 and 2021, the last 2 times we had province-wide local government elections, voter turnout ranged between 30 and 32, 33%, and that's across the entire province. So for it already to be around 28% would be an indication to me that it is hopefully going to be trending higher for this election.
In Dieppe, Yvonne Lapierre decided not to run and has retired after being mayor there for 21 years. Hélène Boudreau, Michelle Melanson, and Ernest Thibodeau are running to replace Lapierre. Polls across the province will be open until 8 tonight. Should mention there's no race for mayor in the town of Riverview. No one decided to run against Andrew LeBlanc, so he's been acclaimed and will be back for a 2nd term as mayor. Todd.
All right, Derek Haggett in the Hub City. Thank you. And Derek will have a roundup of election results with Bruce Frisco at 11:30, and we'll have everything laid out at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Nova Scotia's provincial Liberal caucus has just expanded by 50% with the addition of a familiar name. Lunenburg West MLA Becky Drouin joins the Liberals, giving the party 3 seats in Province House. Drouin has been sitting as an independent since leaving the governing PC caucus in the fall. She was a cabinet minister but left. She sided over the government's leadership. She'll be a critic of health, seniors and long-term care, among other issues. A man has been charged after firefighters in North Sydney responded to a rash of arsons over the weekend, 3 on the same street. Crews responded to Peppitt Street shortly after 3 in the morning Saturday, where they faced fires at 3 different properties in the small hours. In 2 cases, a vehicle was on fire. One of those spread to a backyard garage. Fire Chief Lloyd McIntosh says his department also ended up dealing with a number of other unrelated fires on a very busy night.
Having 9 fires in that time is unusual. We've had multiple fires, 2 and 3 at a time, maybe 4. But having 9 pretty much at the same time in the span of a couple of hours, that's a little bit unusual, especially that hour of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning.
32-year-old Derek Daniel Hall appeared in court today on a number of charges, including 3 counts of arson, endangering life, and 4 counts of arson with damage to property. Fortunately, no one was hurt. There's a live look at downtown Fredericton right now, one of those cities that will be getting a new mayor at some point tonight. Currently at Officer Square, it is, well, rather balmy, 16 degrees. Looks like it's overcast, but Caitlin Mitchell, that might be some blue sky poking there in downtown Fredericton at this hour.
Yeah, it was a little bit more of a mix of sun and cloud in the province of New Brunswick for today. They did see a few pop-up showers develop late in the day. Those showers are going to be coming to an end, though. The cloud cover present in New Brunswick for a good portion of the province will be clearing during the overnight hours. Other parts of the Maritimes, though, like Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, are expecting more wet weather. This started with a weather front that moved in Sunday. Here's some preliminary rainfall reports from around the Maritimes Sunday through Monday morning. And I say preliminary because the front sort of stalled out around Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. There were some additional rounds of both rain and showers that crossed parts of those provinces throughout the day today, and there's some more coming in for tonight. So I expect these numbers to come up in a number of cases. There were also some personal weather stations beginning just to the east of the Halifax area and extending up through Guysborough County into a few areas of Cape Breton that reported some rainfall totals a little bit closer to 70 millimeters, and there were some downpours that came into that part of Nova Scotia Sunday evening and Sunday night. Now, as we take a look at things now on radar and satellite, fair amount of cloud cover around most of the Maritimes, but as I mentioned, overnight, New Brunswick will be seeing some clearing. There is some cloudy conditions with some showers exiting Prince Edward Island right now, and some rain and some showers that's starting to return back to Nova Scotia, starting first in the southwest of that province, so there's some rain and some showers still clearing through the east. And more wet weather to come, moving both up off the eastern seaboard of the United States and a little bit of rain coming in off the Atlantic as well. So even a location like Charlottetown, for example, that may be not seeing much rain over the next couple of hours, can expect rain to return during the overnight and continue on into the start of the day for tomorrow. And it is parts of both Nova Scotia, maybe eastern areas of Prince Edward Island that could pick up some additional rainfall totals between 10 and 20 millimeters as we move into Tuesday. Now, on Tuesday, that rain is going to be clearing off towards the northeast throughout the day. There are some sunnier May days in the extended forecast, and Todd, I'm going to have more on that when I'm back a little bit later.
Okay, we'll see you in about 15 minutes for that. Thank you. It is, current conditions aside, patio season. Turns out it's not just the weather challenging pub and restaurant owners. According to a business support group, Halifax spots pay some of the highest permit fees in the Maritimes to add sidewalk seating. CTV's Jesse Thomas explains.
It's not quite patio weather in Halifax today. The light drizzle will keep these sidewalk tables empty, but on a nice day, they'll be packed. However, setting them up isn't cheap.
Restaurants and bars have been through a pretty rough time economically lately. Of course, with inflation and the cost of everything going up, we're hearing in the mayor's office every day from restaurants that are having a difficult time with prices.
Mayor Fillmore is asking council to support a review of the permitting fees. It costs on average $1,000, which Fillmore says is expensive compared to other jurisdictions.
And when you're trying to make your mind up about whether or not to put that patio out for the summer, whether or not to hire an extra 3 or 4 people to run that patio, that kind of fee becomes important.
This carpenter is building a street-side patio outside this downtown Turkish and Mediterranean restaurant. Materials alone will cost the owner thousands of dollars up front, even before the permit fee is factored in.
This patio, 46 by 23, around 6,000, something like that, yeah.
$6,000?
Yeah, $6,000.
The owner of this Irish pub says while $1,000 isn't insignificant, he says there's a cost to doing business, and he doesn't want to see municipal services cut back either.
I always say I'd be happy to pay my fee and continue to have reliable transit and fixed potholes and good bike infrastructure rather than, saving a couple $100 a year.
Halifax brings in nearly $65,000 annually from its sidewalk patio permitting program. The city issued nearly 70 licenses last year and have so far issued 11 permits this year. Council will debate the motion Tuesday. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
The day before a municipal election is usually pretty quiet. Not in Fredericton, where council voted to take back the New Brunswick exhibition grounds and have it in the city's control. But as CTV's Avram Cray reports, it could all be for nothing.
It was an unusual way to spend Mother's Day, and only 6 of the 11 Fredericton councillors made it to a special meeting. But there was enough for the city to expropriate the New Brunswick exhibition grounds.
The only way to actually realize the vision of the development plan was to secure the land.
They voted to take the land back from the New Brunswick Exhibition Group and buy out the remaining lease for $4.1 million for future development. The city will also sell around a third of the 30-acre property to the province to build a replacement for the aging George Street Middle School.
On the eve of an election, this is pretty disheartening.
The meeting came a day before Frederictonians head to the poll to vote for the next council. The timing of it all raises eyebrows for the ground's executive director.
Our leadership at the city level clearly had a motive and an expectation and wanted to get it across the finish line.
Outgoing Mayor Kate Rogers defended their actions. She says council had been waiting on this expropriation report since April, and when it came in late Friday, it was only fair to give this council a chance to finish their work.
Imagine had we received that report and staff and myself held that report and didn't share that information, didn't disclose to council that we had received the report. That would have been wrong.
What makes the timing of the 11th hour council meeting even more eye-opening is the fact everything that was voted in favor for yesterday could all be undone in a matter of weeks.
The new council will have the full right and authority and power to give the MB exhibition their lands, or to continue on with this process, or anything in the middle of that.
Making for an uncertain future for the exhibition grounds. Ava McRae, CTV News, Fredericton.
Anger over a proposed AI data center in St. John brought out more than 200 people to protest over the weekend. The demonstration at King Square included speeches against the data center within the Spruce Lake Industrial Park, which has become a source of controversy itself. The site has already received zoning approval, but is waiting for a final okay from an environmental impact assessment. Organizers of Saturday's protest are planning a demonstration at the legislature in the weeks to come.
So we're working on a tight schedule. We know that. We're trying to make a big impact in a short amount of time. And we're hoping that going to Fredericton will help things roll forward.
Concerns have been raised about the proposed data center's impact on water usage and emissions. Two companies, one based in Alberta, the other in Texas, say the $2 billion project could end up running in the next 2 years if everything is approved, creating more than 1,300 construction jobs and 210 permanent jobs.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
There has been a lot of bad news in the country about trade, but an encouraging development is taking place at the region's grain elevator. Fears of a shutdown have turned, and as CTV's Jonathan McGuinness reports, that has farmers and exporters optimistic.
This is one of 3 trucks unloading 100 tons of barley at the grain elevators in Halifax today.
This is a new customer we have that has a program where they're shipping barley from Prince Edward Island out into containers to Southeast Asia.
It's a bit of a trial run. Over the course of the season, the total amount shipped will be 1,000 tons, and if all goes well, shipments could increase in weight and frequency. It's a bit of a turnaround for Halifax Grain Elevator, which was without a lease after this season. A new 2-year deal was signed with the Port of Halifax last week.
So we're good now until the end of December 2028. So 3 more harvest seasons for the farmers, which is great.
The grain elevator has been a fixture on the Halifax waterfront since 1924. Today, barley, wood pellets, and soybeans are the main exports. The port had considered infilling the berth where ships tie up to be loaded so cargo business could be expanded. If that happened, those commodities would have to be sent to Montreal to be shipped around the world.
It's certainly great news to hear, that they're going to extend till 2028.
Rory Crawford grows soybeans on 400 acres on the family farm in River John. He says the extension brings some stability to a volatile industry.
If they had closed it, it wouldn't have, I don't think we could have afforded to grow soybeans without shipping to Halifax. It'd be a lot of money to truck to Montreal versus going to Halifax elevator.
Currently, ships carry exports to Europe and Southeast Asia. With a new deal in hand and Canada looking for new trade partners, further growth is a possibility. And Todd, with that 2-year deal now in her back pocket, Kim Batherson is hoping to land a long-term extension that will not only keep these grain elevators here behind me open, but hopefully expand its operation. Todd.
That would be good news indeed. Thank you, John McGuinness at the Port of Halifax right now. The ferry between New Brunswick's Deer Island and Campobello Island will run longer this season. Crossings will be made 7 days a week. That began today, right through to October 12th. By extending the season, travelers can save a 150-kilometer round trip and avoid crossing the Canada-U.S. border 4 times. And speaking of that, the international border crossing at Four Falls, New Brunswick is being permanently shut down. Canada Border Services Agency announced today the seasonal crossing, which has been temporarily closed since the pandemic, will not reopen. The agency points out there are 2 other crossings within 15 kilometers of Four Falls. A YMCA branch here in the Maritimes celebrated a big milestone today. The Y of Cape Breton marked its 140th anniversary. The branch first opened on the island in 1886. A crowd came out to the Frank Rotherham YMCA in downtown Sydney, where the branch has been located since the early 20th century. Historical photos from the past 140 years were on display, and people reflected on the impact it has made over that time.
From our early beginnings here on Charlotte Street in the early 1900s to our response and helping World War I to Canadian troops, serving 600 meals a day at the time, then eventually growing and delivering more educational and physical activity programming. Camp Bereshois in Boysdale we offered for 60 years, and just the evolution of the YMCA over the past 140 years.
It would not have been a birthday without cake, and so there it is. To help celebrate, free day passes were offered today at the Sydney and Member 2 locations of the Cape Breton branch. All right, we'll step aside for our first break of the evening. Still to come in weather. Tuesday starts soggy, but then brightens up. First, though, preparing for a fight far from home. A maritime woman needs a double lung transplant, and her community has her back. We'll tell you about that next.
It's time for your Campfire Conditions Report, brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends. And for the province of New Brunswick, it is currently open to both Category 1 fires as well as campfires. For the province of Nova Scotia, campfires and Category 1 burning is currently permitted between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. And the province of Prince Edward Island is currently open to campfires, with domestic Category 1 brush burning restricted to the hours of 2 p.m. to 8 a.m. Remember, as well as checking in on provincial restrictions, to check in on any municipal restrictions or bylaws before having a fire. For your Campfire Conditions Report, I'm meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell.
The first few days of a new digital health record system are in the books in the Halifax area. One person, one record rolled out early Saturday morning. So far, Nova Scotia Health says despite the fundamental change, things are going well. Here's CTV's Callum Smith.
The incident management team at the Halifax Infirmary has kept busy supporting staff through the rollout. And at the main support center, they're connected to leaders at other hospitals across the Central Zone. Some healthcare worker unions were raising alarms, feeling unprepared for the one-person, one-record launch. Doctors Nova Scotia today saying the rollout has gone smoother than IWK's launch, but they'll watch closely.
Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's a big change. In terms of making change, it's hard. However, team members mentioning immediately to us that they are seeing the value and seeing how much easier it is to care for patients when information is so much more easily shared amongst team members.
I think it's fair to say that staff committed lots of time to the training over the last months, and it's variable, but there certainly was a universal resolve to do as much preparation as people possibly could.
Shifting from paper copies and faxing health records has been a long time coming. How overdue is this?
Years. Yeah, years. I wish I would have had this when I started practice. We need to do this now.
Dr. Aaron Smith argues keeping patients' records throughout their entire healthcare experience in one place will benefit patients and providers.
More importantly, as the patient leaves the acute care environment and goes back into the community, primary care providers and primary care teams and community also have access to that information in almost real time.
Certain services have been reduced to start, something being monitored hourly.
It fundamentally changes how we provide care, and how we can coordinate care across teams, both within hospitals and eventually across the province. So it's, I can't understate what a change this is going to be for our teams and a change for Nova Scotians.
Nova Scotia Health saying the launch will help the province-wide rollout due by the end of 2026. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
A Halifax woman who survived leukemia now faces another life-threatening battle, one that could take her away from home for up to a year. As she prepares for a double lung transplant, her community is making sure she doesn't face it alone. CTV's Hafsa Arif has her story.
For Erin Pushy, even the simplest moments now come with effort. 20 years after surviving leukemia, the treatment that saved her life is now threatening it.
So I had a bone marrow transplant 20 years ago, and as a result of that, I got what's known as graft versus host disease, and my lungs took the worst of it.
The damage has slowly worsened over 2 decades. Now Erin needs a double lung transplant, which can only happen in Toronto.
It sounds and felt insurmountable. I have a whole world here, my children are here, and work and bills and everything else that are not going to stop.
That's where Kelly Blennis stepped in, not just as a friend, but as Erin's support person through every hospital visit, recovery day, and uncertain moment ahead.
It was just a no-brainer to me. She wasn't going alone. She's one of my best friends. She is like the kindest human that I know.
While there are transplant assistance programs available, they don't come close to covering the full cost of relocating, housing, lost income, and recovery. So Kelly created an online fundraiser to help.
Asking for a lot of money is really hard, but in the first day we raised $5,000 and it was so humbling.
But the support pouring in isn't surprising to Kelly. She says Erin has spent years showing up for others, despite quietly battling her own health struggles.
It's a great reminder that we do have communities and that people do care.
Erin and Kelly are planning to go to Toronto sometime after July. While there's still a long road ahead, the community support is helping replace Erin's fear with hope. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Timberley.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, how long will the rain last? Kayla Mitchell will have the answer, full forecast. Stay with us. Yeah, you can almost feel the temperature. The wind coming off the water. This is the wharf, of course, at North Rustico, PEI, and there is the fleet tied up. It is some choppy waters today, Caleb.
Starting to see a slow climb in the water temperature surrounding Prince Edward Island. Parts of the Strait now, maybe areas of the North Shore. Be seeing some of those water temperatures get up around 4 or 5 degrees.
Oh, that high.
Still chilly, but it's a start.
Yep.
And of course, we know they'll continue to climb as we make our way into and through the summer months. Let's talk about the weather that's headed our way. And we do have some rain that's going to be returning to Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island for tonight. Take a quick look at weather conditions across the country and highlight a couple spots where there's a little bit more in the way of some active weather. That does include the south of Saskatchewan, where there's some wind warnings in effect for their evening. Some wind gusts get up to around 90 kilometers per hour. As you can see right now, it's 21 degrees at both Saskatoon and Regina. And Regina is reporting some rain. 15 degrees at Winnipeg and reporting some wet weather there as well. Moving into southern Ontario and southern Quebec, there's actually some frost advisories in effect with some low temperatures headed down towards the freezing mark for tonight. There's going to be a risk of some frost there. Some chillier temperatures are also in the forecast for northern areas of New Brunswick tonight as the cloud cover begins to clear up a little bit. But currently it's 16 degrees at Fredericton, 14 in Halifax, and 15 at Charlottetown. St. John's right now is cooler in Newfoundland, sitting at 3. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation, I talked about the rain. We've got some more on its way in for this evening and tonight. First for the province of Nova Scotia, but by around midnight, rain will be returning to Prince Edward Island. A chance of some showers kind of skirting through the southeastern corner of New Brunswick. Heading into the start of the day for tomorrow, plan on some rain and some showers being around for at least the eastern half of Prince Edward Island, Charlottetown and east, as well as a good portion of Nova Scotia, though maybe not in the southwest of the province. Might be free and clear of the rain, even by, say, around 7 in the morning for the Tri-County region, Digby, Yarmouth, and Shelburne County. And that rain is staying away from New Brunswick for the morning hours. New Brunswick starting the day sunny before becoming a mix of sun and cloud for the afternoon. Speaking of the afternoon, As we move into and through the afternoon, the rain is clearing off towards the east. It may linger for parts of the east of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton, before it continues to move up towards the northeast, towards Newfoundland, as we head into the start of the evening. There will be a chance of pop-up showers late in the day from the southeastern corner of New Brunswick, extending into northern and central areas of Nova Scotia, including parts of the valley, as well as around Halifax. And later Tuesday evening and Tuesday night, a chance of a few flurries up in the Cape Breton Highlands. Taking a look at the winds in the forecast for tonight and for tomorrow. Tonight, mostly light out of the north and northwest by midnight. Tomorrow's winds will be northerly. They'll have some gusts of 20 to 40 kilometers per hour for both New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. A little bit gustier for parts of Nova Scotia there. Some of the peak gusts up between 30 and 50. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight. Where it stays cloudier tonight with more rain moving in, most of the lows will be around the mid-single digits. Where the cloud cover clears up a little bit more during the overnight, that's where temperatures turn a little bit chillier, and that includes much of the north of New Brunswick, which could see some lows between around -2 and +2. Here's a look at your high temperatures in the forecast for Tuesday and for the north of New Brunswick between 10 and 14 degrees, with central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures tomorrow, mostly in the low teens, looking at 12 to 14 degrees. For Prince Edward Island on Tuesday, the high temperatures between 7 and 11, near 11 for O'Leary and 10 for Summerside, 11 for Cavendish, but then 9 for Charlottetown and Montague, and then 7 at Surrey. In Cape Breton for tomorrow, high temperatures between 6 and 9 degrees, and for the eastern shore and north shore of Nova Scotia, most of the high temperatures between 8 and 12. Northern and central parts of the province for tomorrow, most of the highs between 11 and 13, including 13 for the city centers Halifax and Dartmouth. In the Annapolis Valley tomorrow, high temperatures near 14 degrees, 11 at Digby, and on the south shore of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures between 13 and 15. Let's find some sunnier conditions in the extended forecast, and for New Brunswick, that's coming up on Wednesday. Then there's a chance of showers on Thursday, showers in the forecast for Friday, chance of showers at the start of the long weekend on Saturday, but improved weather conditions right now in the extended forecast will Sunday and Monday, both days a mix of sun and cloud and with warmer temperatures. For Nova Scotia, it's mostly sunny on Wednesday with a mix of sun and cloud expected on Thursday. Showers then in the forecast for Friday with a chance of showers at the start of the weekend, then a mix of sun and cloud and warmer for both Sunday and Monday. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, sunshine for Wednesday, then a chance of showers on Thursday, showers expected on Friday, the chance of showers at the start of the weekend, and then fingers crossed, Todd, Sunday and Monday for the long weekend, looking decent so far.
Listen, I think if it worked out the way you've got it behind you, people would be very happy with that.
This time of the year,
right?
Boy, I think we take that.
Okay, so we'll leave that graphic for the rest of the week, shall we?
We'll see what we can do.
Okay, we'll see you for the wake up at the end of the show. Next, we're going to talk about the troubling unemployment rate among young Maritimers. That's after this.
Okay, so coming up tomorrow, 7 a.m., get those keywords. Virgin Radio's 5K a day and the chance to win $5,000.
And we'll have multiple chances for you to get to the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival.
Welcome back on this Monday evening. Canada's unemployment rate has inched up in recent months, but one area that's soaring, the jobless rate among young people, which currently sits at 14.3%. Now, the general unemployment rate is 6.9%, so a vast difference. Watching it very closely is Brendan Bernard, senior economist with Indeed. That's the job site where young people, a lot of people, young people in particular, though, look for and apply for jobs, and he's in Toronto. Brendan, good to see you again. Where should that jobless number be for young people, ideally?
Well, I'd say ideally roughly about double plus a little bit more than the overall average unemployment rate.
Okay.
Actually, the unemployment rate of folks over 25. So right now it's in the range of 14%. And part of that 14% is just the economy is soft overall. Employer hiring appetite isn't particularly strong. And so we expect that to result in a higher unemployment rate. And the overall national unemployment rate is 6.7%, but as you mentioned, it's 14.3% for youth. It's below 6% for those over 25. So ideally, we'd like to see a stable ratio between the unemployment rate of people under 25 and over 25.
Okay, let me.
These days, these days the unemployment rate of youth is higher than it should be, just based on how the overall economy is going.
Okay, I should have set this out at the beginning. The age group when we talk about youth are what, 15 to 24?
15 to 24 is the general way that StatCan groups them. That said, the market does look quite different, teens versus early 20s.
Okay. You said the youth market is in, quote, dire straits. That was almost a year ago. Has your opinion changed?
I think we're in a very similar situation as last year. So glass half full, I don't think it actually has gotten worse, but it was just already quite bad. And I think it's just more of the same since then. And like I was just saying, the sort of strength of the market, it really, there's a contrast between folks in their teens and early 20s, where the teenage employment rates, this is the share of the population with a job, 15 to 19-year-olds, it's dropped 9 percentage points over the past 3 years. That's just a huge plunge, whereas among the early 20s somethings, it's down about 3 percentage points. So a big contrast in the two conditions. And one of the reasons I think for the weaker youth numbers is that among the 20-somethings, they're finding it tougher to find like entry-level sort of career track jobs. And so instead they're working in some of the jobs more frequently worked by teens. So they may be keeping that restaurant job or retail job that otherwise they would have tried to park to go, you know, get their, we say forever job, but their career. Yeah, it's a traffic jam. When the labor market weakens, things start to back up. And so it's not just tougher to get a job, getting a good job and moving up the job ladder from people currently working in entry-level roles also gets tougher. And so all these factors over the past few years, combined with, until recently, a surge in the number of non-permanent residents in Canada, I think they've all come together, along with a weak economy, to result in a pretty weak employment situation for Canadian youth. What's the risk of a high youth jobless rate? There's several. I mean, first, there's just the direct monetary impacts of people not finding work. Now, for teenagers in high school or sort of students looking for work in the summer, the stakes aren't quite as high as they are if you're sort of living away from home and, you know, need that paycheck to pay rent every month. But both cases, I mean, there are youth in both camps who are struggling, and so the direct financial impact is most top of mind. But then you talk about just like getting that first level of entry experience, showing up every day, dealing with coworkers of a variety of demographics and personality types, and, you know, having a boss. These are all important things to learn that people pick up in their first jobs in the labor market. And we've just seen a jump in the people who've never had a job among the 15 to 24-year-old cohort. And that's so just this delay in the first job is just going to, I think, like ripple. And it's not that we can't catch up, but if the job market remains weak, then just there's a greater number of people in this sort of like delayed entry into the labor force that I think has long-term consequences, both on experience and skills and money. The few seconds we've got left, Ottawa has opened a youth job bank of sorts with some, you know, some federal jobs there. Have you heard of that making any impact at this point? I mean, it's newly open. You know, I think these programs, including just like the federal government's like summer jobs program, you know, it has impacts on the margin, but at the end of the day, you can't fake a strong labor market, and that includes for specific demographics like youth. Like I was saying, for youth to be doing well in the labor market, you need employers to be hiring, both so that they can get jobs, but also their competitors can get jobs elsewhere. And so that traffic jam effect, reversing that, clearing the traffic jam requires just stronger hiring appetite across the economy. And that's just something that, like, you need just a better macroeconomic situation. And right now, the forecasts for the Canadian economy are stable but subdued, and so they suggest more of the same for the year ahead. Brandon Bernard of Indeed, thank you very much. We always appreciate your viewpoint on this matter. We'll talk to you again, no doubt. Thanks for having me. We'll take a break. We'll be back with much more.
In health headlines, that coughing and sneezing you're experiencing may feel like allergies, but could be a respiratory illness. Here's CTV's Suzette Beliveau with tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
Many people seem to be coughing and sneezing these days, and allergies may not be the only reason. It could be human metapneumovirus, or HMPV, a common respiratory illness that spreads through coughs, sneezes, and close contact. This virus is most common in late winter and spring, and researchers say it sickens millions of people each year. For most people, it feels like a common cold. Unpleasant but not life-threatening. But for babies and older adults and those with weaker immune systems, it can sometimes lead to pneumonia. There's no vaccine and no specific treatment. If you do get sick, rest, fluids, and basic care are usually enough. But the best thing to do is to try and stop the virus before it comes home. Cover your coughs and sneezes. Regularly clean shared surfaces like tables and doorknobs, and always wash your hands well. A new study from Yale University found that helping parents manage stress may lower the risk of unhealthy weight gain in young children. Researchers found parents reported less stress, had more positive interactions with their children, and their kids ate fewer unhealthy foods. Experts say stress at home can shape family routines, food choices, sleep, and physical activity, all of which may affect a child's health. The findings suggest supporting parents could be an important part of preventing childhood obesity early in life. So what can families do? Experts recommend simple stress relief habits like taking a walk, asking for help when needed, and keeping regular meal and bedtime routines. Even small steps to lower stress may benefit the whole family. With health and medical news, I am Suzette Beliveau for The Lifeline.
We're on the scene with an artist who is no stranger to our show and is certainly a familiar face across the region. Nova Scotia musician Lindsay Meisner is back on the scene, sharing details of what she calls the biggest song of her career. She spoke with our Vanessa Wright.
Meisner's newest song, Feelings, is only a few days old, yet many are already connecting with the rawness of its lyrics.
The song is just about when all your emotions and life's troubles come to a boiling point and you're just like screaming out like, I'm in my feelings. How'd I go from zero?
The Nova Scotia musician is taking the R&B scene by storm, a career she carved out for herself and her family.
Of course, I've wanted to, be a famous singer since I was a little girl, so it's for me too, and it's for my family and, getting us a better life, but also to show others that, like, if you want to be a musician, it's not going to be easy. Like, you got to work 24/7, 365 days a year. Like, it's not easy, but if you really want it and you push for it, it is possible.
She's living proof, up for 2 nominations at next week's East Coast Music Awards.
This is, I think, my 7th or a 7th nomination from Music Nova Scotia and East Coast, but I've never won anything, and I really want to win this award. So we'll see. It's not all about winning, by the way, but it just would, I don't know, sometimes it's nice to be like, oh, you don't just think you did good work, like an award maybe helps you realize it.
With Feelings now streaming everywhere, she hopes to reach a global audience, knowing the Maritimes has her full support.
About to be on the radio. I'm pushing really hard for that, so you should be hearing it regardless. But if you're looking for it, just look up my name, Lindsay Meisner, Feelings, and yeah, best song ever.
Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
We're going to move from music to theater. A New Brunswick teacher who helped bring live theater to generations of children was remembered this past week at the drama festival she helped organize for decades. Suzanne Doyle Yerxa passed away last month at the age of 75. Doyle Yerxa was a teacher at Kennebecasis Valley High School for 35 years and served as the longtime coordinator of the New Brunswick Drama Festival, the largest school event of its kind in Canada.
She's been in a leadership role with the festival for the past 30 years, and she made sure that she was there to see every show from every school every year. We actually are reserving the seat that she would always sit in. So there's little things like that throughout the festival that are honoring her memory. There's countless volunteers, teachers, people like myself that are here only based on the impact and legacy she had.
The family of Suzanne Doyle Yerxa says a celebration of life will be announced at a future date. All right, we're going to go to break with a look at tonight's primetime lineup.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. You can win a brand new bike every day with Bike a Day in May.
Listen for the bike bells every weekday between 8 and 9 and on the weekends between 11 and 12.
Time for business, and the Dow Jones opened a new trading week up 95 points. Toronto's Pearson International Airport is getting a series of renovations that will cost billions of dollars, probably create just as many headaches. B&M Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has the details.
The initial $3 billion will be used to bring a state-of-the-art lighting control system to the airfield. The 30 kilometers of conveyor belt that handles baggage will also be upgraded. The changes will allow Canada's busiest airport to serve up to 65 million passengers a year. In 2023, it served 45 million passengers. The federal government's partnering with TELUS to build a data center project in BC. 2 new facilities will be developed in Vancouver, which will come online in 2029. A center that already exists in Kamloops will be expanded and will be up and running this year. Barrick Mining's reporting a profit that more than tripled from the same period in 2025. It earned $1.6 billion US. The Canadian company actually produced less gold, but its revenues boosted by the price of gold. The stock was up today over 9%. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up slightly to 73.11. West Texas Intermediate is up to 98.13. Western Canadian Select is up to $75. And the TSX gained 61 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Kayla Mitchell outside, and you kind of predicted that earlier. Not surprised to see you with the umbrella.
Yeah, we're starting to get into that next round of rain that's going to be moving across parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island tonight. It's a light rain falling right now, Todd, but it is going to be picking up again as we move through the nighttime. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. So this wet weather started with some showers coming across a number of parts of the Maritimes on Sunday as the front moved in from the west, and sometimes with those showers, you get some really spectacular rainbows produced. And that's exactly what we're seeing in this picture here. This is from Kendall Hollins, sent in from Odell, New Brunswick. I want to thank Kendall very much for taking the time to share that picture with us. Odell for tomorrow is going to be off to a chilly start to the day. Morning temperature will be right around the freezing mark. Some sunshine early in the morning, then a mix of sun and cloud in the afternoon. The high temperature near 10 degrees. How about our day planner across the Maritime region to start Tuesday? Well, if you're in Prince Edward Island, especially in the east of that province, and Nova Scotia, South Shore, Halifax, and east all the way into Cape Breton, you should expect that there will be still some rain and some showers around for Tuesday morning. Now, moving into and through Tuesday afternoon, most of that rain is clearing off towards the northeast, though there could be some that lingers around Cape Breton, parts of the eastern shore of Nova Scotia. Other areas will be over to a mix of sun and cloud. There will be a chance of a couple of spotty showers drifting through late in the day from the southeastern corner of New Brunswick into around northern and central areas of Nova Scotia. It includes parts of Cumberland, Colchester County, parts of the Annapolis Valley, and at the very end of the day, maybe a returning shower in around the Halifax area. Todd.
Okay, Kaylin, thank you, and we will see you tomorrow. Now, on the 5 o'clock show, we talked about the success of the Halifax Thunderbirds going to the lacrosse finals. Well, the other Maritime team in a finals is the Moncton Wildcats, and they find themselves tied in the Q League Championship Series with Chicoutimi after a loss on home ice last night.
Pourquoi pas? La chance arrive et le but! Marqué par Liam Lefebvre avec 3 minutes 8 secondes. Quel tir!
Yeah, there it is. Liam Lefebvre scored the winning goal with just over 3 minutes left in the third period. Chicoutimi got by the Wildcats 3-2. Now, the Wildcats won Game 1 of the series on Friday night by a score of 5-2. The series will now shift to Chicoutimi for Game 3, and that will take place tomorrow night. So lots to cheer here in the Maritimes. A couple of teams going to the finals. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is here at 11:30. CTV News Atlantic.ca has updates. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you tomorrow.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.